Attendant Career Connection free webinar. I'm excited to have you all here with me. So if you're watching later on YouTube, I'm going to just really quickly explain what I've got going on, because I'm trying to record it on my video camera so that I have a nice clear picture for YouTube. So if you're watching later on YouTube, hopefully this is nice and clear and easy to read for you. But also, so that we can do it live, I've got Google Hangout going on and Periscope. So if you want to follow me on Periscope, I would love that. My name on Periscope is @AbbieYounger. That's actually my name in real life too, Abby Younger. But you spell AbbieYounger. So if you want to follow me on Periscope, then you can catch the next one live. Thank you for being here with me. Like I said, my name is Abby Younger. I am the owner and founder of Flight Attendant Career Connection, where we offer resources, coaching, encouragement, and community to aspiring flight attendants. That's mainly through our Facebook group. So if you haven't joined yet, I would love to have you join Flight Attendant Career Connection's Facebook group. And there you can meet people that have interviews, that have been flight attendants, that are flight attendants, and that are aspiring to be flight attendants, get questions asked, and just network. So I would love to have you join. A little bit about me in case we haven't met yet in the Facebook group. Like I said, I own Flight Attendant Career Connection, and I'm also the author of the Amazon bestseller, Looking Skyward, Turn Your Flight Attendant Dreams into Reality. And I run the Facebook group, and we also offer interview coaching, interview prep coaching to aspiring flight attendants, as well as some other free resources like this webinar and worksheets and things like that. So I would love for you to join us in the Facebook group or on the website www.flightattendantcareerconnection.com. So what we're going to talk about this month is some really fun stuff. First, I want to give you all a baby Jet update. So I had a baby 3 weeks ago today. I had my third baby, and his name is Jet. Well, that's his nickname. His actual name is Jason, but he's named after his dad, and we didn't want to call him Jason Jr. or any other variation, so we picked a Jet. And since we're an aviation family, I think it's totally cool. And so he was born 3 weeks ago, and he's awesome and wonderful and perfect, and he's adjusting. We're adjusting to him, and he's adjusting to us really well. My husband works for Southwest Airlines, and today we got a baby gift from them, which is really neat and speaks a lot to Southwest Airlines and the way they treat their employees. We got a picture frame that is engraved with the words baby love, and they spelled love L-U-V, which is, you know, that's the Southwest way to spell it. So I can't wait to get a picture of him and put it in there. So that's kind of the update on baby Jet. And this is kind of crazy. When I was in the hospital having him, well, I was actually after I was having him. One of the night nurses, the second night, I'd had her for a couple nights. I had a C-section, so I was there for like days. But the second night, we were chatting, and she said, "So you've had all these babies back to back. Did you just take a lot of time off work, or do you stay home?" And I said, "Well, I actually stopped working when I had my first baby." And then she said, "Oh, that's cool. What did you do before?" And I told her I'd been a flight attendant before I had Ty almost 4 years ago. And she said, "Oh, my husband just applied to be a flight attendant." So that was kind of crazy. And he had applied with Southwest when it opened up in April. And they're not on Facebook, so I don't think they've joined the group. But I gave her my business card and told her, you know, get a Facebook account so you can join the group. But it was just totally random that my nurse in the maternity ward, her husband, aspiring flight attendant. So aviation is definitely a small world. So that was kind of cool to get to talk about that and talk about the lifestyle and things like that. I just thought that was kind of random. I also wanted to talk a little bit about some current events that are happening in the airline industry. So a lot of airlines are hiring now. I feel like that has been the theme for a while, which is unusual. So I'm always sort of on the edge of my seat waiting to see when these airlines that are growing and hiring are going to fill all their slots, because we know that that's probably going to happen at some point. Either oil is going to go up, or the routes or their flight attendant pool is just going to be full, or the economy is going to have a bit of a downturn. I mean, everything is cyclical. The airline industry is very, very whatever, to changing economy and things like that. So it's very affected. When that starts to happen, one of those three things happen. Airlines will stop hiring as much as they are hiring now. Like the report just came out, Delta's hiring something like 1,800. That's huge. That's a ton of flight attendants for anyone to be hiring at one time. So the reason I tell you this is if you are considering being a flight attendant, now is the time to go ahead and apply. You don't need special training, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but you do need customer service experience. So go ahead and start applying. Now is the time. I don't want you to be like, oh, everyone's hiring. Let me just apply to one and see what happens. And then look up in 6 months, that airline didn't work out and no one's hiring anymore. When I left flying at one point, right after I got married, we moved and my commute changed, and it was just a lot of logistics were not working. And so I stopped flying, and I was flying for Continental Airlines at the time. And about 6 months later, I realized how heartbroken I was and that I had to go back. I missed flying so much. But no majors were hiring, and a handful of regionals were hiring, thankfully. This was 2009, so right after the economy tanked. And I was hired by PSA Airlines, which is growing and hiring right now, and an awesome regional to get on with. But I was so thankful, you know, to be hired and to be flying. But at that point, we were very, very limited. There was only like 3 or 4 airlines even hiring at that point. So now is an amazing time to be hiring. To be applying to get hired as a flight attendant. Frontier Airlines is growing. Now they are an ultra low-cost carrier, they're expanding, they're growing, they're getting new planes. They're opening a base in MCO, so an Orlando base. If you live in Florida, that's awesome. They're actually hiring to fill that base, which, you know, Southwest and some of the other airlines that have Florida bases, those are super senior. So you're not going to get hired and get in there right away. So if you live in that Central Florida area, they would love to talk to you, I am sure. So go ahead and apply. I believe that there's some information out now. I should have checked and seen if it was on the website for y'all, but they're having an interview section actually in Florida. So they in the past have required you to fly yourself in for an interview in Denver. That was how they did it. And now they're changing things up where some people have been flown in. It looks like they're doing an interview session in Orlando. So they're definitely changing things up. So if you wrote them off before because you thought you couldn't afford a ticket to Denver, please apply with them again. They're growing, and they're doing really well. So now's a good time to get on with them. Also, they just announced a new route, which is exciting. It's international. So they're going to start service from Denver to Montego Bay in December. So that's kind of cool. I mean, if you said this isn't like Paris first class international, like view from the top, Donna, but it is, you know, maybe you'd get a Jamaica layover. Not a bad gig. Okay. So also Southwest. I always like to talk about Southwest because they hire very infrequently flight attendants externally. They hire pretty regularly internally, which is a tip. If you really want to work for Southwest, consider getting a job customer service or a ramp agent, and it will be easier to move up because you'll have more chances to apply. But if you're external, they accepted applications back in April. The time before that was almost a year and a half ago, before that in December. And so it's pretty infrequent, almost every 18 months or so. So they take a long time to work through those applications, and they're still working through the applications. If you have not heard from them, that's good news. That means you're still on the list, and they're just waiting to get to you in the stack. They do not order the resumes or applications based on who they think will be the best fit. Like, they're not categorized by the closer you are to the top of the list, the more they like you. It's based more on the time that you apply, and sometimes it's based on region where they're doing their interviews and things like that. So if you're waiting, then you're still in the game, and that's the most important thing. Southwest will do a phone interview with you, and then hopefully you'll be invited to a face-to-face, which they will fly you into a city for. They do them all around, and then hopefully you would be offered the job. So that's a little bit how the Southwest process works. So no, they're not hiring. No, they're not accepting applications now. Yes, they are hiring now. All right. So Another exciting thing that's happening in the Flight Attendant Career Connection world is we are about to pass 17,000 members. So that is really exciting for me. I love all of y'all. I can remember, I know who like the first 10 were that joined the group. Most of them are still in the group, or at least in contact with the group or in contact with me. And most of them are probably flying. As I think back over my list, which is pretty cool in the last 2 years. August, which this is August, celebrates our 2-year anniversary too, which I actually just thought about and I didn't realize because I've had a baby and stuff, so it snuck up on me. I'm not sure the exact date. I need to look it up, but happy anniversary, happy 2-year anniversary to everyone that's in Flight Attendant Career Connection. And I'm excited to hear about your interviews and your job offers. And when I think back quickly, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people have earned their wings over the last 2 years. You know, it was them. They're the ones in the interview. So I'm not saying that it was me or that it was the group or anything, but it does make my heart smile that I was able to be an encouragement and part of that, and, you know, offer resources and things to maybe give them a little bit of confidence to help them get their wings. Because every time I see a wing picture on the group, people getting their new shiny wings, I remember how that feels. Exactly remember like it was this morning, and it's the most amazing thing. So congratulations to everyone that's gotten their wings. Keep going. If you haven't yet, you can do it. You can do it. You just have to keep trying. Sometimes, I mean, we've had people who have gotten their job offer on their 4th Delta interview. I mean, and you can only apply every 6 months. So that means it's taken literally years. But they did it, you know, and it's worth it because they're flying for their dream airline now. So stay with it. Keep going. Keep going. Don't give up. Now I want to talk a little bit to business owners that we have maybe in the group that are flight attendants or aspiring flight attendants. So if you're an entrepreneur or small business owner, and that I would include anyone who's in multi-level marketing. I would include anyone who has a blog, because a blog and a website, those are you're running a business, basically putting out content, creating a product that people love and consume. From time to time, we get ads, basically, in the Facebook group, and, you know, buy my mascara, or, you know, whatever it is, all sorts of things. So what and it's kind of off topic, so I usually just delete them, but I mean, I'm a business owner, so I totally respect the hustle. And so I was trying to come up with a way to kind of facilitate that. So what we're going to start doing is on Mondays, we're going to do Marketing Mondays, and I'm going to set a post in the Facebook group. And if you are a small business owner, if you are a blogger, if you have a product you sell, if you have an Etsy shop, if you have anything that you want to share, that you want to promote, that you want to market, you can post it in the comments of that thread. And so everyone will be able to go and look there and see, you know, the beauty control and the Avon and the 31 gifts and the Beachbody and the Etsy shops and the blogs, all of that right there in one place. And we'll do that every Monday, so that you all have an opportunity. We can support each other financially and without having lots of spam and lots of ads to kind of sift through. So that's kind of how that's going to work. So I'm pretty excited about that. Also, if you are thinking about starting a blog, because the second most popular thing I'm asked about is, how do I start a blog? Because I do have a blog over at abbyyunger.org where I blog about my life and business and things like that. And if you want to be a blogger, I would encourage you to start. It's free to start. You can start on WordPress.com. You can start on Blogger.com. You can get a Wix. It's Wix.com. That's a free website building program online. Actually, that's what my husband just built his blog on, and I really like that one. I would probably encourage you to go in that direction because it's really user-friendly. It's drag and drop. So if you want to start a blog, go for it. If you want to start a travel blog, or you want to blog about your life in the sky, or you want to blog about something else that you love doing, fishing or knitting or whatever it is, I would encourage you to start doing it. And I'm actually speaking at a blogger conference in December in Dallas. So I'm going to be putting out some more information in the Facebook group about that, because I would love for y'all to come, especially if you have flight benefits and you can fly for free. That would be awesome. We could totally like hang out and meet, and you could learn how to monetize, basically make some money, or at least get some free stuff to review for your blog. So I just want to encourage you, if you want to blog, go for it. I get asked that question a lot. So start your blog. And so, all right. Great. So let's talk a little bit. I want to do some Q&A, some questions. And I got 2 questions in the Facebook group this week. So I'm going to do those first. And then if you're on Periscope, over here's my Periscope, or if you're on Google Hangout and you want to type in the comments, or even if you're in the Facebook group, you can also post them in the Facebook group because Jason's over there and he's watching all of that. So in the Periscope, or the Google Hangout, or the Facebook group, you could post your question. So let's get started with the questions that I got. This one was about background checks and should they include on the application something that they had expunged, I guess crime, what? A charge or a conviction or something that they had. I didn't write it. I just wrote notes. It says background check expunged. So I didn't write down exactly what they put. So yes, if you have ever been arrested, that will need to be disclosed. It's not a deal breaker. They don't ask because they don't hire anyone who's ever had a run-in with the law. They ask because it's going to show up on your background check, and this is a safety sensitive job, and they will run an FBI background check, and they will get your fingerprints, and it will be very thorough, and everything you've ever done will show up. As I understand it, so I'm not a lawyer, but as I understand it, having something expunged is more an issue on the state level. So you can have something expunged and it would be gone from this on the state level, but this is a federal background check, which means everything's going to show up. So if you were arrested but never charged with anything, you need to include that. And you could, arrested, 1985, no charge, not charged with anything, or if you were charged and the charges were dropped or whatever, but everything needs to come out. So I've had people who forgot and they weren't charged and they forgot to put it on their background check. I talked to someone one time who had accidentally, this is kind of crazy, she'd accidentally bounced a check when she was making a payment, but because she had mailed the check across state lines, it like trumped it up to like a bigger deal. And she paid the fee, and she didn't like go to jail or prison or anything. She paid the fee and she paid her like ticket, I guess, whatever that she got for breaking the law. But because it had like, she had mailed it across, it was like check fraud. It was like interstate check fraud or something, which was like a bigger charge. And she forgot because it wasn't that big of a deal and it was a long time ago. And it showed up in her background check. And so her job offer was rescinded. They care more that you don't disclose than that it actually happened. Because most likely a 20-year-old bounce check is not going to prevent you from getting hired as a flight attendant, but not disclosing something that is in your background check to the airline they're usually pretty cut and dry about that. And so make sure that you're really thinking about it. Start thinking about when sometimes they even ask you for, including moving violations, which is a speeding ticket. So think back to when you got your last speeding ticket or all your speeding tickets. Try to think about the year. Start thinking about that so that you can get that information down, because that's horrible. I mean, it's horrible that it happens, but then you move on, you turn your life around, you clean it up, you pursue your dream, and then it comes back to haunt you is really bad. So everything needs to be disclosed. All right, here's another one. Do I need to go to flight attendant school? I've seen this question come up in the group a lot recently. The answer is no. You don't need to go to any special schooling to become a commercial flight attendant. So that would be to fly for an airline that we know the name of. You do not need special schooling. You don't actually need even college degree. You do need a high school diploma or a GED, and you need a lot of customer service experience. That matters more. So there are some flight attendant schools. There are. And some people call them a scam. I don't call them a scam because they give you what they pay for. I would consider a scam something like if you sent them money and then you never got training. That's what I would sort of consider a scam, but they're not the best investment. I would say that. The reason is because they're very expensive. And once you go through that training, and then if you get hired by an airline, they're going to train you again in their way. And so it's a little bit redundant. It can also be a bit of a barrier because if you've already learned some things one way and then you are trying to learn them the airline's way, another way, even people who go to more than one airline training encounter this. They're having to relearn commands, relearn different things that maybe they had learned previously. So I don't think it's a very good investment. I think that I guess I'll even have to say it's kind of a waste of money. Because it's not necessary. You would be better off for the 6 weeks getting a job working at a restaurant or working retail and getting some customer service experience. That is going to matter a lot more than the flight attendant training. Okay, so that's my answer on that. I would encourage you though to read some books. You can Google all day, glassdoor.com. Those are all great, but there's just something about books, having the freedom to read books and things like that. So there's a lot of good books on Amazon. I have a book, Looking Skyward. I would, of course, recommend that one, but I don't think you should just limit yourself to one book. They cost anywhere from like $7 to $15, I think. Read a couple books, you know, spend $30 on 3 books and read them, and your grasp of the airline industry and your understanding of how the hiring process works, you will have all that you need to either ask the questions that need to be asked or even just to understand the way the process goes. I don't know if y'all can hear, but Baby Jet is starting to wake up over there. So you'll just have to, he's our little guest over there. So hopefully he'll go back to sleep. All right, so those are the 2 questions that I had now. And so in just a minute, I'm going to throw it over to Jason and see about some live questions. So again, type any kind of questions that you have, how to become a flight attendant, questions about flight attendant life into the Periscope or the Google Hangout or into the Facebook group. But also I want to tell you about the special that I'm running this month, or from now. It just started now until the end of the month. So I said at the beginning that I do offer interview coaching sessions. I have 1-hour sessions and 30-minute strategy sessions. The 30-minute strategy session is perfect if you are not sure about the airline industry, you're not sure what to put in your resume, you're not sure what skills are applicable, you're not sure how this works, and you have a lot of questions and you want to sort of talk it out. Or even if you just have a few questions that you want to talk out, that's what the strategy session is for. It's 30 minutes long. It's also really good if you get invited to a video interview, because those are usually shorter, 5 or 6 questions, and we can talk about the STAR format, we can talk about the airline that you're interviewing with, and we can sort of brainstorm and strategize based on what the airline that you're hiring with is probably looking for. Now, this isn't like I'm going to tell you to say this thing or anything, but we'll talk about, you know, the culture of JetBlue versus the culture of Delta and how to find that kind of information. So the 30-minute session is $45 right now. So it's August 2015. It's $45. And from now until the end of the month, if you purchase a 30-minute session, they're done via Skype, FaceTime, or we can talk on the phone. I'm going to give you a digital copy of the interview workbook. So the interview workbook, it's normally runs $20, but you'll get it free with your 30-minute session. And the reason that it's a really good add-on to the 30-minute session is because it has over 35 interview questions and different types of interview questions, and you can print it out, and it has room for you to write it out. It's a workbook, so you can work through the questions, and you can start to think about stories, and you can start to think about how you would answer a question and what you would like to say. Now, of course, you're not going to memorize anything, and there's actually no answers in it. So that's all up to you. You've got to come up with the answers, which works because the STAR format questions, they're going to ask you, tell me about a time when you gave good customer service. There's no way I can give you that answer because I'm not you and I didn't live your life. But you can think about that and start to recall those memories, because one of the things about being in a flight attendant interview is when they ask you that question, you're trying to remember the details like of a story you haven't thought about it in a while. So that's why it's good to sort of practice and just sort of prepare yourself, like going into a test or something. You want to start, you know, preparing yourself. So 30-minute strategy session through the end of August. If you book one, if you purchase one, if we need to do it in September, that's fine. But we'll need to purchase and pay for it by the end of August. And I'm going to give you the digital copy of the flight attendant interview workbook for free. So that is the special that I'm running now. So now I'm going to ask Jason if there's any questions, live questions.
Somebody came in the middle, intro about yourself and who you work for. Are you a recruiter? and who do you work for? I think they think you.
Okay, so a little bit about me. They came in the middle, so they missed my sort of who I am kind of thing. And so I'm Abby Unger, and I own Flight Attendant Career Connection. I'm not a recruiter. I'm not affiliated with an airline. I have a feeling that if I was a recruiter for an airline, I would not be allowed to do this because airlines are they're pretty careful about what sort of information they let out there and things like that. So my background, I don't actually work for an airline because, again, they're very protective of who represents them and in what ways. So I own Flight Attendant Career Connection, and we offer resources and community and encouragement to aspiring flight attendants. My background, I was a flight attendant. I started flying in 2006, and then when I had my first child in 2011, so almost 4 years ago, I stopped flying. And then about 2 years ago, I started Flight Attendant Career Connection, and that is sort of, the rest is history. I now have 3 children, and my husband does work for an airline, so we still get to fly for free. Yay! So that's a little bit about me. I hope that answers that question.
They were asking, who did you work for?
Okay, so I worked for Continental Airlines first. I sort of said, well, like she said, she came in the middle. So I worked for Continental Airlines first, and then I ended up working for PSA Airlines, which is an express carrier. Owned at the time, it was U.S. Airways, and now it's the New American. And I was a flight attendant as well as an in-flight instructor and a check flight attendant for them. So.
How long did you fly?
Well, I said that I started in 2006,
Oh.
and I stopped in 2011.
They asked, why did you get fired?
Oh.
Lipstick color. What kind of lipstick are you wearing?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I'll put it in the Facebook group, but I'm not even sure. I hope that's because you like it, but I'll put it in the Facebook group. I'm not even sure. Next.
That's
All right, so that's all. All right, so thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you next week. Of course, I'm always available to answer questions in the Facebook group, or you can send me a Facebook message, or you can send me an email, facareerconnection@gmail.com. So it's facareerconnection@gmail.com, and I will talk to you soon, and I will see you next week, second Thursday of the month at 9:00 p.m. for our free webinar, Google Hangout, Periscope, or you can watch the replay on YouTube. Thanks again. Bye.